The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com
We were on the break!
with Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Monday, January 10th, 2022, Season 17. Well, episode number 94. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break. We are live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. It is a Victory Monday. Cowboys are heading to the playoffs. They get a big win on Saturday night versus the Philadelphia Eagles, 51-26. We're going to talk all about that. And start a little talk on the playoffs here later in the show. Nick, let's start off with a 94. There can really only be one, right?
Michael Myers?
Sure, Michael Myers. Let's
What do you
make
mean
Michael
there's
Myers
only one? There's three.
Is it?
Yes, that's why they do it. I
I
mean,
know.
that's why they do it.
I know.
Haley.
He's just my favorite.
Which one? D-Ware?
Yeah, it's my favorite.
Okay.
Who's the third? Am I bad?
Gregory?
I did.
That's why
The
they
one
do
that
it.
yours.
Hey, Randy's my guy
Right,
of
that's
all
what
guys.
yours.
Well, I didn't know we were putting him there with D-Ware and Haley. I mean, those are.
He's got the number.
But
Those are
that's
Ring of Honor
Yeah,
guys.
and Jerry put him there.
He did.
Jerry,
He gave him the number.
and he stuck by him.
True. Okay.
Which is another reason why they got to pay him. Because if you're going to stick by him, one of you guys were making that point last week. If you're going to stick by him all this time and then get to a point where now he's playing well, don't let him go
You
at
better
this point.
re-sign him.
Yeah, exactly. Pay,
Yeah.
get the dividends off of all that invested time that you put into him. All right, let's talk about this win. Cowboys win 51-26. I don't know. It was just from the beginning of the game, you just saw that, especially offensively, this Cowboys team was clicking. Let's go through first and get some storylines. What's the big storyline takeaway from that game here on Monday morning?
I mean, big picture storyline is that it worked out perfectly. I kind of like my eyebrows went up when you said they were clicking. They were. Don't get me wrong. They were playing the B team or the C team even. I mean, I guess the big picture is that Philly made it really clear what their priorities were going into that game. I mean, they left 11 starters on the COVID list and they pulled another 10 healthy players. So not to take credit away from what the Cowboys did, like they wanted to go get some work, get some momentum going. They did all of that. Let's see how it translates.
I thought they did a great job in the offense. I mean, it doesn't matter who you're playing against. I thought Dak threw the ball better. You could tell his throws were on point. That was early on in the game. They went and scored just about every time they had to. And I think they had some fun. They had fun out there, and they needed to do that. And, beating the little brother like that and beating him up, I guess. I don't have a little brother, but if you had one, I guess that's what it feels like because that's what they did to Philly. So. And the roles have been flipped, but right now, that's the way it is.
Absolutely perfect game for the Cowboys. Everything they needed worked to their advantage. They walked out with no really any major injuries or anything like that. That worked out. They played all the way into the third quarter with their starters. That worked out. They beat a team that, even though you could say a B or C team, that's what they needed because they needed to walk out of that game with the kind of confidence that they walked out of there. So I think it was great. I think it's a great start into the playoffs, and we'll see. Now we're all in. This is it. It's happening, and we'll see how they play this week against a better team than the Eagles.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
That's a really great point. And I guess my big takeaway is just it was a weekend full of people's decisions that maybe I didn't agree with working out. Like I don't make the decisions, and that's why. Like Cowboys decided to play everybody for as long as they needed to. They got out of it without anything really bad happening. They got the win. They get to feel good about themselves. I'm over here like, why are we playing this on a Saturday? Well, the Cowboys won, which put pressure on the other teams. Why are we flexing all these games to 3:30 in the afternoon? That's why. Like yesterday was amazing. So like all the league's decisions worked out, the Cowboys' decisions worked out. And I just have to eat crow, I guess.
And records and
Ain't the first or last time, right?
Nope.
Yeah.
records and milestones matter
Yeah.
to the players and to the coaches doing it.
Yep.
To the fans, maybe, but they matter. Trust me, we were in the press box. We could see there was technology, radio waves going back and forth on stats in the game. people down there wanted to know what the stats were. Oh yeah, where Zeke was in 1,000 yards. I mean, Dak's on the 2-yard line. He was never running the ball in until that record was there. And then the record gets there. Now we're handing the ball off to every running back that's even thought about being on this practice.
So not just that, like the sequence of like they threw it or maybe they handed it to Corey Clement, they threw it to Jeremy Sprinkle, then they threw it to Corey Clement, then Jaquan Hardy gets in the game. There was definitely a moment in the fourth quarter. Ito Smith. Me and Nick were just like, they're going for this record, and I don't care what they say. Like they can downplay it all they want to.
Yeah, and I will say this. I kind of agree with Amber on this. I think it was about rhythm. Like what we keep hearing from this offense is they haven't quite found the rhythm here over the games where they weren't playing at their best. And so it didn't matter who they were playing.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter if you're playing the B team, C team, whatever. The point is you wanted to find a rhythm so that heading into the playoffs you feel like you're just operating at a different level, and that's what I think they were able to get out of this game.
I will see. I hope so for their sake.
We don't know if it's going to work. I'm saying that was their goal. Their goal was to find their rhythm.
You're right. Well, that was their goal. We don't know if it worked, honestly. Like I hope it did, because if you watch that Rams game, that's a nasty front coming to AT&T Stadium on Sunday afternoon. So I hope they found something.
Yeah, and even more importantly, that run game. We're going to get
we'll
into
get
that
to
all
it.
week. That is not. You didn't win anything great by having to face San Francisco if you watch that game and what they could do on the ground.
And like Nick and I were texting back and forth all afternoon, just sort of trying to. I mean, we had a funny exchange where, like, in the second quarter of that game, I texted Nick and Rob, and I was like, "All right, so it's the Rams. Let's get that story ready."
The Cardinals.
Sorry, Cardinals.
It's gonna be the Cardinals.
But Nick was like, "Jesus, like, are the Rams going to win the Super Bowl? This is ridiculous." Yeah. And then an hour later, I texted Nick, and I was like, you think we should write a story about maybe needing to play the 49ers? And like by the end of that game, I was just like, is it good that they're moving up, or should we not be happy about this?
That's kind of Twitter yesterday. Yeah. Like if you were on Twitter was all over the map yesterday because there were so many games where it was like you'd think one thing and then a little bit later it's like, whoa, hold the presses. I don't know what's happening here. Everything's changing.
Right. You know, somebody tweeted at us too that said, everyone keeps talking about not playing Green Bay. You know, now you don't play Green Bay in the second round. If you get to the second round, you just have to go play Tom Brady, probably, who's never beaten. You've never beaten, you know. So either way, like, you got to stop this nasty run.
Have they ever beaten Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
Dak beat him once.
A couple times. They've beaten him a couple times.
I'll tell you like this.
Not in the playoffs.
I'd much rather go to Tampa Bay than go to Green Bay.
Well, this is
no
what,
doubt about
that's
it.
what I said on the radio this morning too. Was it doesn't matter like where you play. You know this for the first two. If you get two games, you know that you're not going to be in cold weather. You're just not. You're going to be at home or you're going to be in Tampa. So Dak's had good games at home. He had a really good game in Tampa as well. When you can throw the ball, the weather is not a factor. It was not a factor against Philly. Wasn't windy like as I
it was kind of funny though.
As I let you guys know.
Yeah.
It wasn't. So good job, meteorologist Derek over here.
It was the weather app. Oh, it's not me.
It still wasn't pleasant outside. Just I'll say that.
Cold.
I'm sure it looked like it was kind of cold. You could tell by the look on people's faces. All right, here's what I'm going to do. We're going to do a little thing.
Funny, real quick, what's funny is like you guys keep talking about the opponent. Oh, good thing it's not Green Bay or whatever. But in reality, it's like any team is going to be a struggle. Like with the Cowboys, these are the kinds of teams that they have struggled with in the regular season this year. So regardless of who it is, and I get it, some teams are better than the other, but either way, it's going to be a problem.
There are no cupcakes in the playoffs.
This looks a lot like Denver, though, which is scary because it's just that a really strong running game. You don't even know who the running backs are. They're just good because they run the ball well. Their quarterback, you don't think he's that great, but you know he can manage the game and he can get it going. Yeah. So this. I don't know if Denver's a good example because that was so embarrassing, but you're right. I mean, it's a game like that where it was a different type of game. You thought it was going to be more, fast paced, whatever, a lot of score. Now it's more of a fist fight.
Yeah.
So the Cowboys have showed they can win both ways. So they're going to be tested though.
And as we know, who've been around AT&T Stadium, when San Francisco comes to town, there are going to be some fans there, I would assume.
I'm interested. I did a radio hit last night, and they were asking me like, "Yeah, is AT&T really that good of a home field?" And I was like, "Look, your criticisms in the regular season are valid. Like we've seen that plays out, but I've covered 3 playoff game. Is it 3? I've covered the playoffs at AT&T, and it's different. It's different. But this is
San Francisco has a lot.
This is a different fan
every
base.
time they're here. They tend to show up at games.
But
now we'll see how it
but
goes.
for the playoffs,
Tickets are harder to come by, I would assume, but
Well, we're gonna find out.
Why
We're
do you
gonna
do like that?
Well, our marketing department has decided to put a certain color on this game, so we're gonna find out real quick
we'll see.
what it looks like.
It's gonna
if you white out.
if you
will be a whiteout.
it's
So
supposed
for
to be
you
a
Cowboys
whiteout.
fans, wear your white. But yeah,
I doubt 49er fans are gonna be wearing the white jerseys.
got it.
Rams
You'll
were
be able to easily see that red.
That was embarrassing.
Rams were playing for the West yesterday, and SoFi was red. I mean, it's been a while. The game that everybody like that. It was 8 years ago at this point. It was 2014 season opener. They lost to the Niners. I think Kaepernick was still their quarterback, and it was like 60% red. It was worse yesterday at SoFi. Like it was even worse. That won't happen in the playoffs, though. I trust the Cowboys fan base in the playoffs.
I mean, I think sometimes in the regular season, and this is the part you got to remember in the regular season, a lot of times fans are thinking, games I want to go to, games I don't want to go to. Where can I sell my tickets and maybe make back enough to cover most of my costs for the entire season? And those tend to be some of the games. It's not the division games. It's not a big-time opponent, let's say, if the 49ers aren't great that year. So, yeah, that could be a part of the reason why. But I just know since I've been here, every time San Francisco comes to town, you see a lot of red. You see a lot of red. So, and they got a lot of fans. They're one of the teams in the league that have a lot of fans, and there is a traditional rivalry here between the Cowboys and the 49ers.
Yep. Well, it'll have to happen this week. It's stuff that's this week. I mean, you Cowboy fans or secondary market, I guess, has it. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm sure there'll be some, but either way, it's, like Dave said, it's different. It's just different there. I mean, we've all covered it. We've been there, and that's another thing. I thought it was an absolute perfect weekend for the Cowboys.
Yep.
They're not going to get all 3 wins. Carolina wasn't going to beat Tampa, but they got 2, and you had to have the Rams. I mean, that was the only one that you had to have. And then we had heard all week it was going to be Monday night, and it was going to be a Monday night game. And the reason why it's not is because of those West Coast matchup. Because when they could put those 2 teams in a good spot for them, they kick off at what, 5 o'clock
Pacific time, yeah.
Yeah, 5. But it's 7 or whatever Monday Night Football. But it's favorable for them. So when they got that 4-5 matchup, that's what moved it. And the Cowboys get 3:30 on Nickelodeon.
So if it had been Cowboys Cardinals, we'd probably be talking about a Monday night game, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, 3:30, and the good thing there is that's your rhythm. That's what you do anyways. You do Sunday to Sunday. This is nothing out of the ordinary.
And this week,
Just
that means
normal.
you get an extra day because you played Saturday. So, yeah it actually helps you a little bit having that shorter week last week. All right, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we're going to do a little something I call Talk About It. I'm going to give you guys some things I saw in the game, and you guys are going to talk about it. We'll do that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
At AT&T, everyone, new and existing customers, get our best deals on every smartphone. Why? Because you deserve it. For turning your living room into your office and your gym. For teaching Grandma how to video call and teaching her again.
It's the button on your left, Nana. Okay, your other left.
It's not complicated. Everyone deserves something new. So AT&T is giving everyone, new and existing customers, our best deals with every unlimited plan on every smartphone, even the latest ones.
AT&T may temporarily slow data speeds if the network is busy. Restrictions and exceptions may apply.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with...
And I'm Jay Novacek, and we're both with...
United Ag and Turf, the official tractor provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
So, if you need a tractor to bale some hay, a mower to cut some grass, or a gator to get some chores done...
Get a John Deere at United Ag and Turf.
And then, let's get to work.
Hey, Jay, that's my line.
Well, not today.
Get to work with a John Deere tractor package that's just right for you and your budget. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at Stetson.com/cowboys.
New Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. You deserve it.
I do deserve that.
You deserve decadent flavor without sugar and a day at the beach without sand getting everywhere. and a relaxing bath that your children don't interrupt.
I deserve all that?
It's really just a visual metaphor for Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. Everything you want, nothing you don't.
A visual metaphor on the radio. I do deserve that.
Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. The zero you deserve is finally here.
Back to the break.
All right, Cowboy Nation, it's playoff time. We just talked about it. Get ready to white out AT&T Stadium and cheer the Cowboys on to victory this Sunday, January 16th, 3:30. For the playoff updates, visit DallasCowboys.com/2021 playoffs.
Welcome back. It is the second segment of the break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. Let's do some talk about it. I got some things that I noticed in the game that I'll throw out to you guys, and I'll let you guys talk about what you saw regarding these topics. Let's start first with Dak Prescott. He was 21 of 27 for 295 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 151.8 rating. Pretty much a perfect day for him. He did set a club single-season record for the most touchdown passes with 37, passing Tony Romo at 36. Talk about it.
Well, I thought it was outstanding for Dak. He played an outstanding game. They wanted that record for him. He wanted to. You could tell they were down the 2-yard line. They were trying to throw it in there. He did it in 16 games. Romo played, I believe, 16 games that year. He set out a half at the end of the Washington game, and guess what? So did so did Dak. Yeah. He set out a half at the end of the season as well. It's well deserved. What does it mean? I don't know, but well deserved.
There's a really great inside journalism analogy here, because a lot of time, kind of lazy reporters who maybe aren't doing their job right or just want the player to do their job for them, they just say, "Talk about how you played today." And you weren't there on Saturday, so that's what me and Nick are doing right now. Just hey, talk about this thing that I didn't see.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, that's exactly my point.
That's exactly it. I was not there.
Jerry Madelon doesn't like to talk about.
No, but guess what? We're going to do it.
The big thing for me, and I want to be clear that this is in no way intended as shade. Cedric Wilson, man, they have something. I thought that was the most impressive part about that game, about that performance for me. I mean, Dak was incredible. He only threw 6.
Where's the shade?
Because they look better.
Oh, look better.
And they look better. And some of his best completions were to Cedric. Some of the concepts that they got him open on, the outbreakers. Was it a third down or it was a third down on the first possession of the game. Cedric just ran a 10 and out. And Dak it was his best throw of the night. It was just a really pretty throw. And I get what I meant by I don't mean it by shade is I just can't help but think about the way this offense was moving when Cedric was in the lineup in the first half of the season when Gallup got hurt. And just maybe something about he plays the slot, and that opens Amari's and CD's roles up a little bit. I think you also have to mention that, again, Philly wasn't playing anyone good, so that's probably part of it. But they just looked really fluid, and it just makes me wonder, I think Cedric Wilson maybe has something to do with that.
I think one of the biggest things for me is that, the Eagles go in there, the offense starts moving, they almost intercepted a pass, which ended up creating a big play for the Eagles. And typically, when things like that happen, the Cowboys tend to struggle a little bit if the offense is unable to score once they go back into the field. So I think that the biggest thing for me was that they didn't necessarily miss a beat. They went out there and were never really falling behind or trailing behind. So that's when I see them struggle the most, is when the opposing team scores and then they feel like they start feeling some kind of pressure. I think Dak, he seemed pretty confident and comfortable out there on the field, which is huge, because one of the things that I've been saying this whole time is that, to me, he's been struggling with something mentally when it comes to the game after he got back from that injury. So he seemed pretty confident, and the way that he played, it's just going to be a great start, like I said earlier, to this next week.
Let's jump to Zeke Elliott. He had 18 carries for 87 yards, a 4.8 average. Pretty good day for him. He did have a 26-yard long run, which I thought was a really good run for him as well. How did Dak perform? How did Zeke perform?
I thought he looked good. I thought he looked fresh. Yeah, 26-yard run. He had some burst to him. I think my entire experience watching Zeke on Saturday night was, okay, that was really good. Go sit down. Okay, that looked nice. Please go sit down. And again, it worked out for him, but especially in the second half, and I know he wanted 1,000 yards, but I was just like, you have an opportunity to get this guy off the field and get him some rest, and you're not taking it. And I mean, they finally did take him out, but I would have sat him at halftime. But again, I know the milestone's important. I get all that, but I thought he looked good, all things considered.
What's funny about 1,000-yard season is when I first started working here, 1,000-yard season was a really good year, and then in the middle of the year, 1,000-yard season became Now it's become a really good year again. It's the cycle of the way the league is. I saw a stat that this is the NFL. This is the fewest amount of 1,000 yards rushing seasons ever in the history of the NFL. Only 6.
Damn.
That just goes to show that it is definitely a passing league.
Talk about why that is.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of reasons. Number one, there's not many dual backs. I mean, there's not many, just one back systems. And the Cowboys don't have one. They got two backs. So they got 2 guys that are sharing it. They're throwing the ball around a lot. It's very, very much turned into a passing league. And the durability of keeping these players healthy. Derrick Henry is unbelievable, and he's sitting at like 9-15. He's only played like half the year. It's just really hard to get 1,000.
One of the few guys that actually runs is the primary runner for his team. Yeah.
Derrick Henry finished the regular season 9th with 937 yards. He played 8 games.
Yeah.
My God.
I mean, and then 2,000 if he can stay healthy. But that's the thing about a running back.
Elijah Mitchell, who we'll see this weekend for San Francisco, 963 and only played 11. They can run the ball, man.
This reminds me, and we're going to talk about this more this week as we get into it. But the more I start thinking about it, I'm like, this is reminding me more and more what he's doing in San Francisco, and I'm talking about Shanahan. It reminds me so much of what his dad did in Denver. You remember how they used to just plug in running backs? They were talking about it on the show, on the game broadcast last night. You got Alandis Gary and, who would drones.
Mike Anderson.
Yeah, they got all these guys. It just seemed like every year they'd run somebody in there. And if you played fantasy football, you just wanted whoever was the back in Denver because you knew he was going to get production. And it's way more, and this is another thing they mentioned, way more about the scheme there than it is about who's actually running the ball. And I think it's the same thing here. I think these running backs, they can really hurt you. And it's not that they're great running backs. It's that they have a system that works. And as they said last night, if they have a running back that can actually find the hole consistently, he can work in that system. And I think that's what you're probably going to see this weekend.
They just look different when they run the ball. Yeah. Like the way they scheme their blocks, they've got a true fullback that gets involved. Obviously, they got Debo doing his thing. But like at time when they just batten down the hatches, like we're going to run the ball, like they had like a 14 or 15 play drive yesterday where it felt like they ran the ball 12 of those 14 plays. And I
think that actually may be right. They ran the ball a ton on that
They look like they're running the wing tee. Like they got tight ends pulling with guards and fullbacks out in space. Like it looks very unique compared to what the rest of the league is doing.
And you know what? I'm pretty impressed with Zeke right now because we've been talking about his injury since like week 4 is when I think he started getting hurt a little bit. And then weeks came by and went, and then we were like, okay, maybe this is the time to sit him out so he can rest a little bit. He never did. He was always out there on the field. So it's impressive to me that right now he's looking the way that he's looking because I see since the last 2 weeks, I would say, he has a different kind of burst. He seems more energized, more powerful. He's able to move a little bit better right now. And that was all done without him actually resting. So congratulations to them. I don't know what exactly they've been doing with the training staff and all that, but it worked. And I am glad that this is the type of Zeke that's going into the playoffs.
All right, I want to go back to Cedric Wilson. You mentioned him. He was he had five catches on 6 targets for 119 yards and 2 touchdowns. My question for you guys is, what are they missing by not having Gallup and replacing him with Wilson? And is there anything, this I think is the more important part, is there anything you think they gain? Is there anything that Cedric Wilson does maybe better than Michael Gallup? Or do you think it's pretty much an even split one way or the other?
I think there's things that they both do better than the other. To me, I think Cedric Wilson is a little bit more versatile in his and where he lines up. Then they play different positions, but I think that he complements the other two guys a little bit better because of just when Gallup's one of the three, you just got like three really good receivers out there. I think Wilson is a little bit more of a slot guy. I think he's just a lot more versatile. You can do some more trickery with him and all that. Gallup is just, I think he's a outstanding sideline catcher and contested catcher. But I mean they're both great. They just it feels like it's just a better connection between Dak and Cedric Wilson.
I'm glad you brought this up because that's. I don't think like they're better without Michael Gallup. That's silly. Right. And I think Michael Gallup is the best contested ball catcher and the best deep ball catcher on this team. Like if they're on the opposing 40 and you gotta take a shot at the end zone to win the game, I would want the ball targeted at Michael Gallup in a perfect world. But something which it sounds weird because Mike's a boundary guy. Like he doesn't really play. He can, but they just don't ask him to play the slot. So you would think that you have Gallup and Cooper on the outside with Lamb in the slot. Like that sounds very favorable to me, and they've looked good doing that. I mean, the offense was great against Tampa Bay when they were all healthy. But moving Cedric into the slot and having those other two guys kind of interchange around him, it just seems like it works. He has chemistry with Dak. The guy's made so many great plays this season, and I don't know what to attribute it to, but it just kind of looks fluid when he's in there.
To me, and Nick said the word connection, Dave said chemistry, and that's exactly what it is to me. I don't think that one player is necessarily better than the other. It's like if you're a professional dancer, you can dance with another professional dancer, but you're always going to look better with your partner. So it's to me, that's what it is. Like they can both dance and all do it well, but for some reason, Dak can dance better with Seth.
I like that analogy, actually. Go ahead.
It's true. That is a good point, but it kind of messes up my point now. I was thinking about how Cedric in the open field has really been good. He's probably the best on the team, and he was that one time when he was dancing with Cooper Rush in Minnesota, that was still working. But that pass over the middle, if you remember the touchdown, he was weaving through and turning the safety around. He had a touchdown 6 years ago, which was really like week 4 against, I think, Carolina, when he caught like a slant over the middle and he did like that spin. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Like that was like, whoa.
That was this season?
This season.
My God.
Right. It feels like, I mean,
a long year.
And he had some plays in this last game where, I mean, he's really, yards after catch is, for a guy that weighs 126 pounds, he does kind of, he's very fluid in the open field.
He had a play, thinking of plays that feel like a lifetime ago, he had a play on a bubble screen against the Chargers. Dak just flashed it to him in the flat, and he weaved his way between about 4 guys. He picked up like 18, but I just remember thinking like, oh, if you had cut that a different direction, you might be going to the house. But yeah, no, I'm agreeing with you.
So if they were going to give Michael Gallup an offer to stay, which was probably going to be something that they would reject, just move that over to Cedric Wilson.
That's interesting, though, because maybe the injury affects what Gallup is willing to sign for. And I would love to have Michael Gallup back. That's my point, is I'm not trying to sit here and be like, they're better without him. They should sign Cedric and not Gallup. I don't know about all that, but Cedric Wilson has had a really nice season. I don't even think of him as like, well, he's got to step up for this starter. It's like, no, you're just starter B. Like you're 3A instead of 4. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Also, like Stephen Jones, he said that they were not going to base their decision off Michael Gallup's injury. That's not really going to be a factor, but I mean, that is.
How is it not?
That is going to be a factor. So that's another thing to look at is injury-wise. And I mean, how many games did he play total this year? Because he got that injury the first.
Michael?
Yes.
He played the opener, and then he came back against Atlanta and got
I mean, different injuries.
Less than half the season. 5
or 6. I don't know the number, but yeah.
It's just, it doesn't help him. It allows the Cowboys to see a preview of what it could be without him here.
He started 8 games. That seems high, but yeah.
All right, we're going to take our final break. When we come back, we're going to jump to the defense. I got some questions for you guys on defense, and We also got to talk about the kicker. We'll do that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
At AT&T, everyone, new and existing customers, get our best deals on every smartphone. Why? Because you deserve it. For turning your living room into your office and your gym. For teaching grandma how to video call. And teaching her again.
It's the button on your left, Nana. Okay, your other left.
It's not complicated. Everyone deserves something new. So AT&T is giving everyone, new and existing customers, our best deals with every unlimited plan on every smartphone, even the latest ones.
AT&T may temporarily slow data speeds if the network is busy. Restrictions and exceptions may apply.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with...
And I'm Jay Novacek, and we're both with...
United Ag and Turf, the official tractor provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
So, if you need a tractor to bale some hay, a mower to cut some grass, or a gator to get some chores done...
Get a John Deere at United Ag and Turf.
And then, let's get to work.
Hey, Jay, that's my line.
Well, not today.
Get to work with a John Deere tractor package that's just right for you and your budget. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/cowboys.
Back to the break.
WrestleMania comes to AT&T Stadium April 2nd and April 3rd. It's a 2-day event. Visit SeatGeek.com, the official ticketing partner of AT&T Stadium.
Welcome back. Final segment of the break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. Let's talk some defense and some special teams. Let's start first with the Dallas defense. They allowed 149 rush yards in this game against Philadelphia, 4.5 average. Here's the kicker. 94 of that came in the first half, and that was when the game was still, I guess, somewhat in doubt. That being said, how concerned are you about this run game? This run defense.
Very. And I mean,
nothing to do with that Eagles game, just in general.
Well, we asked this question last week, and no one seemed to be. I asked this question last week, and nobody seemed to be too concerned about the run defense at that point.
No, I mean, and I don't think you're. I mean, let's just throw that game out the window because that's not how the Eagles run the ball. The Cowboys didn't have. Cowboys have 3 really key pieces that did not play in that game, including Micah Parsons. They don't have their guy. They don't have their shutdown corner. They don't have their leading tackler in Jaron Kearse. And then they don't have the rookie of the year in Micah Parsons, who's not going to win defensive player of the year, but he's going to win rookie of the year, and that's fine. So I think that, I think that they'll be as good as they can be. They're still going to have problems with a team that really does like to run the ball. But if they can stop it early, and they can put 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9 situations, then I think it'll be a fun matchup to see what Diggs against Debo. I think he'll probably follow him around a lot. It'll be interesting to see how that shakes out.
I said last week that I wasn't super concerned about it, but for everything missing on the Cowboys defense, the Eagles didn't play Landon Dickerson. They didn't play their starting right guard. They didn't play Lane Johnson. They didn't play Jalen Hurts, who having a running quarterback is a big part of being successful at running. Didn't play Miles Sanders. Didn't play Jordan Howard. So again, that was the B-team offense. Kenneth Gainwell, rookie out of Memphis, 5th-round pick, just gashed them. And I know they didn't have guys, but it's disconcerting. And even still, the thing, if they were playing the Rams, I'd be like, yeah, whatever. They didn't play anybody. But they're playing a team in San Francisco that not only can run the ball, they are determined to do it. Yeah. They got back into a game that they were trailing by 3 possessions by running the ball. Second half starts, they're down 17-3. Quote Brian Broaddus, here we go. We're going to ram it right up your rear. They just marched down the field on it. So my point is, that's like my thing. Football 101 is like build a lead and take the run game out of it. I don't know if you can do that against San Francisco. Right. And so that's definitely disconcerting.
I'm still feeling the same as last week, pretty much. I think I would be freaking out and probably crying on my couch if Micah Parsons is unable to play for whatever reason. So if that was my, not that I needed any more proof of what Micah Parsons means, but that was like another revelation of like, oh my God, like the amount of impact that he creates on that field in general, in the defense overall, it's unbelievable. So I'm good as long as Micah is back on the field.
That is a very good point. Nick and I were talking about it in the press box, and Diggs not being there was part of it, but I was just like, there's a lot less fun without Micah. Like, it's not as fun watching this defense when he's not out there flying around.
Yeah, he's the most exciting defensive player that since I've been here, and the only player that I've ever like looked for every snap. Yeah. Like in the press box, I'm not even the quarterback that's about to get hit by him. I'm just where is he? Where's he lining up this time?
He's gonna show me something fun. Yeah.
And then of course when he's not out there, then I go crazy in the press box.
Where's Micah?
Get pissed off about
doing?
it. Happened in week 2 against the Chargers. That's why I wanted the Chargers to win because at least they could be a playoff team. Because in my opinion, I think it's the most important victory of the season for the Cowboys. I thought that game was the game where we found out a lot about a lot of things. We found out that Terrence Steele can block. He's a pretty good player. Yeah. We found out Micah Parsons can rush the passer. So did Herbert. We found out, if we needed, that the Cowboy fan base in L.A. is still as strong as ever. And we found out, they're not going to go 0-2. They split this thing. They go 1-1, and they needed that win after that first loss of the season. We thought it was good against Tampa, but they didn't win. They got to win. I thought that game really changed everything, and it led to a big winning streak.
I actually asked Dan about that last week. I was like,
Quinn?
Yep. Sorry, Dan.
I don't know what Dan it would be.
Dan Quinn, the Cowboys
Dan
defensive
Bailey,
coordinator.
right? Yeah, Dan Bailey.
Rather.
I was like, you think it's fair? You think it's fair to say that, like, and not to paint it as a good thing when you lose your guys, but like you were forced to move Micah to end. Yeah. Do you think it's fair to say that changed the trajectory of his season? Like maybe you don't just throw him a rookie into the deep end, and he was like, yeah, that's absolutely fair because like we asked him to do it on short notice, he responded, and now you've got a better idea of what he's capable of. You feel more confident. You learned so much new stuff about him because of that. So. I agree with you. I think that game launched the Micah Parsons that we saw this season. I don't know if he would have had the same season if DeMarcus hadn't broken.
I'll say this real quick too. It probably created a certain amount of confidence for him too, not just in Dan, but also I'm sure Micah came out of that game feeling like, okay, I can do that too. Okay, I can do this NFL thing.
Right. You know what else happened in that game too is we also found out that when you really, really, really have to make the kick, Zerline can make the kick.
Wow.
56 yards.
What a segue.
Are we going to go there?
What a segue.
We are going there.
You said we were going to.
So I thought I would just.
I wasn't going to go there right then, but let's go there.
Lay it up there.
Let's just go there. Zerline misses another extra point. They did not take Dave's advice and just sit him for the game. And he goes out and he does what I think all of us were hoping he wouldn't do. We were hoping, just like the offense, he would find his rhythm and everything you'd go into the playoffs feeling better about him.
He found his rhythm.
True.
He did exactly what he's
fair.
done for 2 years. Yeah. I looked this up. He's an 87% on his extra points last year. This year, 87% on extra points. He goes out and kicks 7 extra points. He makes 6 of them, which is 86%.
Wow.
That's what he is. He's an 87% extra point kicker. That's what he did.
It is what it is, man. He did.
There's nothing you can do.
I know. You're right. There is nothing you're going to do.
I thought about you after the game, and I thought
we talked about you and the Zerline thing in the press box. Yeah. By late third quarter, we're just like, okay, this is we don't have to just be following this as close. So we were just sitting over there talking trash about you and your kicker thoughts.
But there's something that I thought of. What you want to happen, and what Cowboy fans, not just you, Cowboy fans want to happen is they want to feel good about it. Bucky said it too. They want to be able to see a field goal and feel he's going to make this kick. I don't want to have to worry about
better yet, extra point. The kick is one thing. Like the extra point, I want to feel like I can go to the restroom during an extra point.
You will not be able to do that.
I know.
It doesn't matter if they cut a guy.
Hold your pee.
Yeah, hold your pee. They bring another guy in. Like you're not going to feel better about it. So that part of the game is over. Like, might as well take a guy who has done it he corrects himself for the most part. He went out and made all those kicks and all that. It is what it is. Like, it's not going to be better.
Let me ask you this, though. If it's possible, because I think this might be it, that it's just a mental thing with extra points. Because it's not like he can't kick an extra point. He just is missing them. Is it worth maybe going and getting a guy off the street and keeping both of them on your roster and using one for extra points and one for other kicks? And again, I'm not. I am not. No, I'm not saying
I wasn't. You really can now. Now you could never do it before, but now you can with the way you can just elevate a guy.
Right. Is it worth doing?
I don't know.
I guess. I mean, I don't know. It's so
They're not going to. I know that's a bummer of a way to approach this, but what's the point? They're not going to do that. And also, a weird part of me, this is backward logic maybe, but like, better the devil I know than the one I don't. Like, I kind of know what to expect from Zerline. Like, he'll miss and then he'll make the next few in a row, and I'm not going to feel good about it, but he'll hit the important ones, whereas like some new guy who I've never seen kick, and now we won't see a new guy kick unless it's in a playoff game, which is absolutely terrifying to me.
I get that. Yeah,
I'd rather the guy that I don't trust that I've been watching for 2 years than some new guy that's never kicked in a Cowboy game ever. That I don't like the sound of that at all.
Right. All right. The kicking export over here.
No, it's just, it is what it is. You guys said it already. Bringing in a guy, it's like, okay, how much confidence do you have in a guy that is just brand new in here? Also, how is he building that connection? To me, like, kicking seems pretty easy, but in reality, you got to connect with the placeholder, who's holding the ball, and all that. So that's already there. That's already established with who they got here with Zerline. But it's just, like I said a few weeks ago, have your offense score enough points. Don't rely on your kicker. That's what it is. That's what it comes down to at this point, I think.
Play well enough to give him a lot of opportunities. Because if you go 5 of 6 on extra points, okay. So you scored north of 30 points. That's pretty good. I'll take my chances with that.
Yeah. The only thing is that I think going into the playoffs where you're going to be playing much better opponents, then, as soon as you miss an extra point, it changes the strategy of the game.
Yes.
Now it calls into question who's going to go for 2 and when are they going to go for 2, and how to not just your team, the other team as well. And so I think the strategy changes when you have those kinds of misses, and that's the part that's disconcerting. Is you start tinkering with that, and you find yourself in games that are just kind of, you're having to do things you wouldn't normally do, or your opponent starts doing things they wouldn't normally do just to kind of play that point game.
Right.
Well, I can't recall, other than one time, and I don't even remember what game that was, but I can't recall where they haven't felt confident enough to where it changed their game plan as far as what they're doing.
What do you mean?
With the Cowboys, everything that you mentioned, like, okay, are you going for it? Are you not? Are you kicking or whatever? I feel like, has that affected their game plan?
Well, I think there have been games where, obviously, when you start trying to figure out, okay, now that we're at 6 versus 7, now the other team, let's say, scores 2 touchdowns. When do you go for 2? At what point do you go for? Do you do it the next time you get a touchdown? Do you go for 2 at that point? Do you hold until later? Now you start having those kind of questions, and then the other team, they're also playing that point game too now, because they're like, is this a time where maybe we try to get up by 10? So do we go for 2, right? So I think it just changes the strategy for everybody when you start getting misses of an extra point.
No,
because
I
get
it, but I guess I worded it wrong. But what I'm wondering is, has there really been a time this year, where you feel that the Cowboys' decisions were based on maybe them not feeling confident enough in their kicker?
No, I don't.
No,
that's what I was trying to.
No, I don't think they've run from their kicker. Like, if that's what you're asking, like, I don't think they're situations where, like, we're going to go for it on 4th down just because we don't trust our kicker.
Here's a good example of that. In the first game of the season against Tampa Bay, I think he missed an extra point and a field goal.
Yeah.
It was a very, very bad start to the season. At the end of the game, they were very conservative and waiting for him, or setting up a 48-yarder to take the lead. They were kind of playing for the field goal there, and so even though he had been kind of a train wreck throughout that game, so that if you're going to run from him, you would have done it in that one. But
you're not, and Nick made the best point of all. You're not going to feel good about this. You're just not, based on the body of work this season. But, and I'm kind of going off the dome here, but how many opportunities at like must-have field goals has Zerline had this year? Tampa Bay, New England tied it with like 20 seconds left to send it to overtime. Raiders, which I mean they lost that game, but
he did his job.
When Chargers is the big one. When he's had an opportunity at like a must-have end-of-game field goal, I'm pretty sure he's made them all.
Except for New England,
he missed before that.
He missed because he wanted Diggs to get an interception on the next play to set that up.
No, and he set up the interception.
He set it up.
But I know
did miss that one.
But he missed it. But they got the ball back and then presented. He needed to make a kick with 20 seconds left to send it to overtime, and he did. And it was
even more pressure. Yeah.
49 yards. So that's how I would console myself. Is just like. When he's had to make them, he's been pretty reliable.
And that was kind of the point of the question I was asking earlier. Can you get somebody in here to kick extra points? Because he can make those kicks. He can make those 40, 50-yard kicks when he needs them in games. Like, he's pretty consistent at doing that and doing that pretty well. It's the extra points for whatever reason. And that's why I think it's a mental thing. Like, at this point, it is a mental thing for him, those extra points. It just really is.
It's the whole job is mental because every kicker in the league can kick from 50 yards out. That's why they're here. But you have to be really, really good at it. It has to be a mental thing because they all have a very similar physical skill set. Like, they can all kick the crap out of the ball.
Yeah.
Are we almost done? We got more points. I want to say one more thing about special teams. John Fossil has been outstanding. I mean, the special teams has been really, really good this year. When you think about not just the blocked punts and things, they had a kickoff return for a touchdown, but he hasn't had one fake. They haven't faked the ball at all, and yet just the fakes he did last year. Look what it led to. The Cowboys set a franchise record in net average, which means when everyone's worried about his fakes. So they're not really worried about. I mean, they're not going to just rush. They don't worry about a return. You just punt the ball. It's a fair catch, and it's to the point of a Cowboys record. That there's a method to it. I say it all the time, and we're seeing it. They are really good on special teams because he throws that fake out there, and everyone's worried about it to the point where they're setting records for field position.
Yep.
So I think kudos to them and what they've done. Yes, the extra point field goals have been shaky. But special teams have been really, really good this year.
That's a great point. All right, we appreciate you guys. Jonas will be back tomorrow. We're going to start talking a little Cowboys versus 49ers. Still in for Nick Eatman, Dave Hellman, and Amber Garcia. I am Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!